Welcome back to episode Minutes of Truth. I'm your number one host on this show, and it is a great Wednesday morning. Today is the day James O'Keefe will hopefully release what we've been looking for, what we've been waiting for, and what we were promised since the 2024 election cycle. Before we get into all that, I'm going to play some music because I got to go. Actually, light. I am the bringer of light. Just kidding. I just didn't realize I had all my screens still blacked out. All right. So before we get started, we're obviously going to have, it's a typical morning wake-up song. You guys are used to if you've been here for a while. And maybe you can see it on the other screen. So I'll be back in a minute.
I'm the one that you hate for making America great. And I'm the one who's trying to build back better. We ain't the same. Yeah, you're right. There's a difference. Y'all are woke and we're awake. What a joke. Does white privilege have something to say? Your president drove the country into the ground. The crime rate is through the roof. There ain't no jobs to be found. Inflation going up. My kids need food in their mouths. You put the fake news on every TV screen in my house. Hold up. Your president a racist, homophobic. Tried to overthrow democracy and everybody knows it. He will never make America great again like the slogan. He a white supremacist. Just like all of you who voted. That is not facts. All you woke morons do is talk trash. Drag queens in classrooms hate anyone who's not black. You're pro-white, you know that's what the Klan members are, right? You're anti-LGBTQ, then why they always on your mind? Bro, you're a boy, you're a girl, stop playing stupid. You screwing up the youth and all the children are our future. You don't care about the kids. Look at all the school shootings. You're pro-gun, it's your fault. Stop making those excuses. You think anyone who don't agree with you is just a bigot. You're a fascist, you're a Nazi. You just mad because you triggered. You're just jealous of the left because we're progressive and we're winning. Now I'm tripping that you won the election because you rigged it. They put you on the left, they put you on the right. They tell you what to hate, then they tell you who to fight. Till you're screaming, screaming. They put you on the right, they put you on the left. They tell you who to hate, they do anything to get you screaming, screaming. My president draining the swamp, we building walls. Your president opened the border for one and all. Now there's murderers and criminals evading the law. Walking right into America, our safety is gone. Well, my president ended pandemic, saved the economy, and introduced legislation fighting for our equality. His son smokes crack. I don't care about that, honestly.
All right. Good start to the day. How's everyone doing this fine morning? Well, all one of you. I love you very much. And I don't really mean I love you because it's kind of a strong word. Yeah. But today we're going to talk about renovations of Penn Station. We're going to go through some Charlie Kirk interview, Pierce Morgan interview. We're going to talk about arms to Israel, which the UK said they weren't going to do about 6 months ago. And then as of yesterday, they said, you know what? We're going to send support to Israel. Why? Then we're going to do a phone call with Jesse Lee Peterson, a 7-year-old kid who was murdered by 4 black children, or black guys, kids, they look kind of young. Transgender bill that passed in Colorado. And then we're going to talk about Pam Bondi and another town in Florida that apparently is very friendly to pedophiles. But before we do that, we're going to get into this little thing I found on X this morning. And it's Mr. Reagan. Is it Mr. Reagan? No, it's Mike Pence. I'm sorry. And we're going to talk a little bit about what this video is about. We're going to play it first. And then we're going to talk about it. Let me talk to you.
Hey, let's talk about George Soros for a second here. I made a post about Ronald Reagan, and I know it may come across as looking a bit inflammatory. It's not my intention. Sometimes I talk about things just matter-of-factly because the history has to be told, and you can make your own judgments about that history. So one of the posts that I put here was trying to explain why it is that the Reagan Library became this hardcore never Trump haven and why it's so institutionally against all manifestations of domestic populism. And you have to understand, Reagan inherited in 1980 a CIA whose name was Dirt. Okay, the entire 1970s was a drag through the muck of the Central Intelligence Agency. Starting in the late 60s, the Ramparts disclosure, CIA on college campuses using college kids as assets to subvert their political anti-war movement, getting
college kids to be their assets, which if you think about it, they've been doing pretty good because all they got to do is indoctrinate them, which obviously they're getting paid, or they have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in student debt because of the indoctrination. And they're wondering why they're going to have their paychecks garnished.
Busted assassinating presidents, Frank Church holding up the heart attack gun in Congress. That all happens 1975, 1976. Jimmy Carter comes to power, pledges to crush the dark arts arm of the Central Intelligence Agency. That is the operations wing. There's an operations wing and an intelligence wing. The operations is the one who overthrows, foreign countries and everything. So he does the Saturday Night Massacre. He lays off 30% of the CIA in a single night.
What?
The foreign policy establishment hates Jimmy Carter.
So he got rid of 30% of the CIA. I like it. I like it.
Carter gets in trouble with the Iran hostage situation, 79. 80, Reagan rises to power, and he's got a compelling need, as he sees it, to restore a full-throated, red-blooded, clandestine operation capacity. But he doesn't have the political capital to do it because the left-wing Democrats hated the CIA at that time. And what he does
not a left-wing Democrat, but I can tell you I don't like the CIA. They're the reason we have wars.
Not him, it's Raymond Green, and the whole story for another time. But basically, the people under him convinced Reagan to authorize the creation of something called the National Endowment for Democracy. This is 1982, 1983. And to structure it in a way so that the stakeholders of it would benefit both Republicans and Democrats, and it wouldn't be called the CIA. It would just be a CIA cutout that would do what the CIA used to do. And this would be waged to accomplish the Cold War goals of the Reagan administration. That is, liberating Europe from communism, getting Poland and all the different Soviet satellite states to throw off communism, have a U.S. favorable government installed, and win the Cold War by creating insurgency movements all over Central and Eastern Europe. And
install U.S. favorable governments. It's what happened with Maduro. That's what happened with Zelensky.
Germany, Poland, the whole thing that you guys probably know. Now, there were two benefactors of this, both on the sort of cowboy and the Yankee side, if you will. They're the corporate stakeholders of this, which is like the Chamber of Commerce, which at the time was completely Republican. In fact, it was all the way up until Trump, for reasons that should be obvious by now around Trump's foreign policy. And a great example of this is the Gorbachev ad for the first Pizza Hut being installed in...
Let me get this thing on. So, what do you want to talk about? Yeah.
Russia. I mean, you capture these markets. Hundreds of millions of people now become U.S. corporate customers, in addition to a whole range of other benefits when you politically capture a country. Cheap labor, favorable tariff treatment, the supply lines, the works. So you had the energy sphere in the Chamber of Commerce on the Republican side, on the cowboy side, because that's what Reagan was. He came out of that Republican cowboy milieu. And the financial firms in New York and London, the Yankee faction, got paid off because they were all betting and speculating on the currencies of the countries that the State Department was overthrowing, in addition to being financial shareholders in the Chamber of Commerce companies. George Soros is the perfect example of this. He started the Open Society Foundation in 1979 in South Africa as a tax loophole for his kids. This is how he described it. But then in the early 80s, he linked hands with the State Department and with NATO to serve as the civil society conduit for this brand new, massive, sprawling, overt CIA that the National Endowment for Democracy and USAID and the State Department was doing. So the Open Society Foundation set up its little satellites all over Central and Eastern Europe under protection of the Reagan State Department. So you had this cowboy-Yankee alliance to topple the governments from Germany all the way eastward, bring them in the orbit of the U.S. empire. And I'm not even casting judgment on this. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing, but it is what it is. When I talk about the history of Reagan, you have to understand that the whole world that was upended in 2016 in part grew out of this firmly entrenched alliance between these power factions that Reagan very artfully navigated to make sure everybody got their cut. And the last thing here on the financial speculation. George Soros, when he set the Open Society Foundation in 1979, he was a New York hedge fund guy. He was only worth about $25 million at the time, before the $30 billion or whatever it is now. He was speculating on the currencies of countries in Central and Eastern Europe while he had partnerships with with the State Department and advanced knowledge of operations to overturn those countries' governments. This is the ultimate version of insider trading and of this sort of uniparty alliance. That is, he knew what countries were going to be toppled and therefore what would happen to the currency, and could speculate through his hedge fund activities way in advance of that. And then beyond that, you also have the benefits of anti-communism from the stuff he was doing, because all of these communist countries held collectively trillions of dollars, especially with Russia, of publicly held assets. The moment you become a private economy, all of those assets go up in a fire sale to London and Wall Street stakeholders. That is, not only did they get to do the Forex speculation, not only did they get the Chamber of Commerce proceeds, but then they also got to dumpster dive at bargain basement prices for all of the formerly federally held, publicly held assets of the people who lived in those countries, so that George Soros and the Harvard Endowment and all these civil society people could leverage those financial arms to gobble up the assets. That's why when George Soros says he built his empire in the shadow of the former Soviet empire, that's where that empire comes from.
Not wrong. What's up, Yeti? That was Mike Benz. In case you don't know, that was the dude that was just fired. Wait, that's the same dude that was fired, right? That doesn't look like Mike Benz. Anyway, let's continue on. So that was a little, because I don't like George Soros, and we know he has his hands in just about everything we can think of in this country and this world. Now we're going to talk about Penn Station. This is Cash Jordan. It's not typically something I would like to go through. However, it does explain how New York City has been wasting money, wasting time, and enriching their own pockets while allowing, places like Penn Station to become, well, shitholes. They keep getting all this money. Oh, it's Waltz. Thank you, Yeti. Who is Mike Benz then? I don't know why I know that name. Anyway, we're going to get to New York City. So the MTA has been wasting money. Remodeling, rebuilding Penn Station and the subway systems to where Penn Station used to have been one of these great fucking places that everybody wanted to go to. Just like Times Square. However, like I said, years and years of corruption, money laundering, and just plain shitty people have created the problem where the federal government is like, you know what? Y'all can't do that. We're going to take over the project for renovation. And y'all can kick rocks.
Officials appears to be Penn Station.
All right, the Department of Transportation announcing it's taking control of the overhaul of the transit hub. Fox 5's Justin Formosa was live at Penn.
So, this building behind me is called Penn Station, and although it's in New York no longer has any control over it, as the Trump administration has taken over the plans to fix this dilapidated eyesore, which is so poorly run. It's sadly been doubling as a homeless shelter for over a decade. And critics say it's about time somebody else was calling the shots in here.
Have you been to Penn Station recently?
It's in my district.
It's like a homeless shelter.
It's in my district.
So why are you wasting? You give these speeches, and I just read one where you're like, Trump is bad. By the way, ignore the guy living, under the ATM machine.
The Trump administration is kicking the MTA off the $7 billion Penn Station reconstruction project and giving it to Amtrak, which is federally funded, with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy saying the MTA has a history of inefficiency, waste, and mismanagement.
MTA Chairman and CEO Janno Lieber reacted to the decision, saying, as the major leaseholder in the station, we expect to participate in the redesign.
The plan includes a 250,000 square foot facility that will have more room for passenger circulation, more elevators and escalators, entrances and exits, plus better retail space.
As long as they do what they're supposed to, I don't really mind. Doesn't matter who does it, MTA is not the greatest anyway.
Trump in New York, if you kind of look at his real estate policy in history, this sounds like a really bad idea.
Does it really? In New York? How much of New York was funded by Donald Trump? How many buildings in New York, how many renovations were done by Donald Trump? Not the administration, Donald Trump.
Busiest train station in this country. It should be great because this country is great, but it's not. It's filthy, filled with waste.
So now that the president's in charge of Penn Station, some lawmakers want to stop it from being renamed Trump Terminal. But what nobody's talking about is this takeover is going to be the best thing to ever happen to Penn Station, and that is not a joke. But what is pure comedy is that the plans to modernize America's busiest train station were supposed to be handled by the MTA, the same city agency that runs our disgusting subway system, which is rotting from the inside out, yet costs $20 billion a year to keep in the state you see it in right now, making it pretty obvious that whoever runs that place should be
antique right there,
which is rotting from the inside out, yet costs $20 billion a year to keep in the state you see.
Huh? You see that? Look at that. Oh, still 4 minutes for $1, huh? Damn.
It in right now, making it pretty obvious that whoever runs that place should be fired immediately and definitely shouldn't be in charge of anything else, because they're obviously incapable of completing basic tasks. They can't even get people to pay to use the subway or use the billions they're given to make simple repairs. Yet for some reason, year after year, New York keeps giving the MTA more money based on continued promises of a future subway system that has none of the problems it's had for decades. Like fix perpetually busted escalators, which brings us to the real reason this takeover is the only idea that makes any sense for this place. The dirty secret about Penn Station is that New York City was using it to suck federal money out of the pockets of Americans all over the country, just to waste it the same way they waste everything they get from New Yorkers, who soon may have to pay higher taxes as the MTA's asking for $68 billion to finally make good on years of broken promises, which, as you're about to see, they don't even have the ability to make good on.
Gross.
So as you can see, Penn Station, it's got a lot of people inside of it, but it's also home to a lot of problems. It actually looks better today than it did just a few weeks ago when the temperatures were a little bit lower and when there were unfortunately many more people living inside of the station. Here, you just see people passing through on their way somewhere else. But that could also be because there are now police barricades in places where folks with nowhere to go used to be, which is how the city and the MTA go about fixing most of their problems, by hiding them and moving them somewhere else. But now that the Trump administration has stepped in and taken control of this facility and is actually going to do some good down here, local
Imagine if I talk like this, how many times would you keep listening to me?
The Trump administration is kicking the MTA off the $7 billion Penn Station reconstruction project and giving it to Amtrak, which is federally funded, with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy saying the MTA has a history of inefficiency, waste, and mismanagement.
He alone can get this station built after.
So you just heard it right there. Generations of politicians have failed at fixing this horrific building. I mean, the ceiling above me is about to collapse right now. I don't even know what's holding it together. You've got missing tiles near some of the light fixtures, TV monitors that are improperly installed and probably cost way too much money to put up there in a place where nobody's even going to look at them. On top of that, there's not enough seating and it makes you feel miserable down here. And in places where you'd think you'd be able to sit, like on this ledge, you'll find anti-homeless architecture, which wasn't working. So now there are also metal barricades. Barricades and a rope. And teams of outreach workers, critics say, do more to harass people than actually help them. But the real issue here is the city's been trying for years to improve this place and has failed to do so. Failure which we also see down in the subway system, which they're also in charge of through the MTA. And if the city's MTA can't build and maintain a functioning subway system, why on earth would we trust them to fix this place up?
MTA Chair and CEO Jano Lieber saying in a statement, in part, as the major leaseholder in the station, we expect to participate in the administration's and Amtrak's efforts to ensure future plans meet.
Did you see that? Those beautiful graphics show us what we may have to look forward to someday down here. But the city, they want to get their fingers on it so bad, and they're upset that it's been taken away from them, the opportunity to get all that money under the auspices of making improvements to public transportation infrastructure. And you just heard the MTA director saying he hopes he can dictate how this money gets spent. But if he does that, the sticker from Paul's Caramel Macchiato may still be here. It may never disappear. Probably because the MTA itself is one of the biggest financial fraud operations in New York City history. This article details how every time they do anything, it's always a scheme to get their hands on public money and send it into the pockets of well-connected private individuals and businesses. Schemes like spikes on subway turnstiles that don't work and don't convince people to pay to use the train, or expensive subway gates that are supposed to be so easy to use people will decide to pay to use the train, which they aren't doing. But it doesn't stop there. One of the best schemes the MTA's figured out in the subway is that they can constantly talk about how they're modernizing signals so that trains will move faster and be more efficient, something they have an entire webpage dedicated to, which tells us they've been working on this for almost 20 years. And whenever America's pocketbook is open, you can bet the MTA wants to get its little fingers in there, but now they can't.
The MTA's history of inefficiency, waste, and mismanagement also meant that a new approach is needed. Amtrak owns the busy hub, therefore the feds believe it's the right fit to execute a project that's been in the works for years.
So Amtrak owns the station, but somehow the MTA found itself in charge of renovating the whole thing? That definitely sounds like a scam right there. To access America's pocketbook and redistribute that money while accomplishing absolutely nothing. But some of New York's leaders are so upset their opportunity to steal from the public while talking about building a functioning train station is gone that they're getting sidetracked. They've now convinced themselves there's a real possibility this thing could be renamed after a president they don't like, and they're the only ones talking about this. Instead of passing laws that would help the people trying to use this train station or the people who are trying to live in it, unfortunately. Instead, they're just concerned about defeating public enemy number one, which tells you that they probably shouldn't be in charge of anything down here.
Governor Hochul says the takeover is a victory, something
Yo,
she's been...
I think he's going to talk about this too, but when you look at this, they're going to talk about I'm trying to do three things at once, and I just... Fuck. Oh, yeah, Hochul obviously knows that New York City is shitty and that they're not getting the job done. So it kind of seems like she came out in support of this decision.
Should happen. The use of federal funds will save New York taxpayers $1.3 billion.
So the funny thing here is that even the governor of our state knows what a black hole the city's MTA is, who was going to be in charge down here. She doesn't want to give them any more money either. And she knows there's going to be zero return on every cent that gets sent down here. But thankfully, the era of black hole checks that totally disappear and accomplish nothing is over. And the reason this is important is because this project actually has the potential to do a lot of good for public transit in New York. It's not only supposed to redesign this nightmarish station, but it's also going to add rail capacity, as well as stop it from falling down on top of everyone who's in here right now. By the way, we're standing in the newer part of Penn Station right now. You can tell because there's this little box over here that has a blinking light. And it's crazy to think that even though this place is falling apart around us, just like the subway system, at the same people running one, we're gonna fix the other. But if it wasn't bad enough that local leaders here are venting their frustration at being taken off the job of fixing this place up, those same leaders are giving us another piece of proof that we can look at today that proves they are totally incapable of doing anything correctly.
What's up, Lark? Good to see you, brother.
So here we are at the entrance to the subway where all of the problems with this place begin. Yes, it's got a lot of problems. Trains aren't all that reliable. This place is falling apart too if you take a good look at it. But the real issue is that people don't pay to use the train. And the city wants to spend millions of dollars trying to figure out how to get them to do that without arresting anyone.
Fare evasion on the New York City subway isn't exactly rare or subtle.
Look, the cop is right there too.
Just mind your business. The MTA, though, is minding its business and employing new ways to stop people from hopping the turnstiles to avoid paying to ride. Monday, the agency revealed 4 modern Fairgate designs that will be tested this fall at 20 stations across the state.
So the city has a ridiculous new plan. Spent untold amounts of money on fancy new gates that theoretically should make a dent in people hopping over these things, but they've already got a perfectly good working solution for that right here. In fact, these bad boys are 30 years old. They work. Look, you cannot get through this thing at all. Ain't nobody getting through that unless they pay. They work. But there's a problem with these, and that problem is that since these already exist, they won't earn or justify any new money being sent to people to come up with a modern version of the same thing, which, by the way, would be installed in an unmonitored subway entry point. It's going to look something like this, but New York is a city of savages. You're going to need something better than an unmonitored gate in a location nobody watches to get people to pay for the train. And that means anything that gets put here, if it's not one of these guys, isn't gonna do anything. But as smart and practical as it would be to install more of these things, even they have a weakness.
They use the most modern sensor, object detection, and machine learning technology to open and close only for fare-paying passengers.
The MTA
Well,
has
maybe
already
the
been
AI they're
testing
trying
other
to use should
strategies,
fix that.
like adding so-called fins.
Stop it right there. Did you see
Or
that? The
are they
camera
causing
just showed someone using the emergency gate to get inside the subway. The emergency gate is also a problem, and if you're not going to keep an eye on your subway by watching who goes in and who comes out to make sure people pay, people are always going to be able to get in that way. And what this reveals is how absolutely stupid it is to spend money fixing a problem that is unsolvable. Unsolvable by virtue of the city's unwillingness to crack down on those who break the law, even if it's a small law. And the reason that's a problem is because the subway isn't able to fund its own existence. And whenever it needs more money to fix itself, which is what our leaders keep telling us they need more money for, the money's got to come from somewhere, and now it doesn't look like it's going to come from the people who ride the train. No, instead it looks like businesses are going to have to pay more taxes, which means hiring less people or giving out less raises. Everyone's going to take a pay cut because of this. All while the city keeps dumping money into the pockets of well-connected contractors to install contraption after contraption that is supposed to make this place profitable and never seems to be able to do so. Which reveals that on the one hand, we're wasting money while at the same time we're asking for more of it, saying that we don't have enough for some reason that we just can't seem to figure out. It's also important to note that any newfangled contraption that the city wants to roll out would conceivably be installed in a terminal like this where people are just jumping the train right in front of me and I'm down here with a camera. Look at this. There's no station booth anywhere. This is entirely unmonitored. It's well lit. The trains are right there. People are just popping and going right in. There's no accountability for these decisions, and that's the real problem.
Some daily riders like Lenith Oliver think new taller gates would make a big difference.
I doubt that you'll leap that high.
The NYPD has also stepped up its
That's a
enforcement.
green screen.
It says summonses doubled last month for fare evasion. But the long-term goal is...
So we don't need to hand out summonses for fare evasion. People don't always pay those, and of course somebody passing through our city or our country illegally isn't going to pay something like that. That's not a real solution, which is why it isn't stemming the tide whatsoever. You'd have to give out so many summonses that the entire general public became terrified of fare evasion and the sudden consequences thereof. And we aren't writing enough tickets to do that. Instead, the only way to stop this $800 million a year problem for the MTA is to have a consequence that goes a little bit further. And although putting people in jail for fare evasion would definitely work, what might actually be more effective would be to have somebody who gets caught get a summons, which they have to pay, and require them to put in 10 hours of community service cleaning areas of the subway like this. They could wear a yellow vest, they could get a scrub brush, they could get to work, they could think about what they had done wrong, and everybody that comes down the stairs here would see them cleaning and making the subway better, and they would say to themselves, gee, if I don't want to do that, maybe I should just pay to take the train.
If they don't
what do you think
put them
about
in
that?
jail.
Let me know how the city could fix its subway. Let me know if Trump did the right thing by taking over Penn Station away.
Well, time will tell. How long is that project going to take? Because apparently New York City has been waiting 10 years to do it, $20 billion later, and still nothing to show for it except for more crime, more people getting assaulted, pushed off, choked out. I mean, that one where he got choked out, that was totally justified. All right. I don't know if I want to play this one. Fuck it. All right, again, we're going to do with Charlie Kirk, and this one is, I believe, at the University. Oh, fuck. This one might be Texas. I'm not sure. But he's going to talk about illegal immigration, which is a pretty big deal these days, if you think about it. But it's not. At the same time, it is. Because, well, for the past 4 years, well, 5 years, because now 4 years, we've had a great border that, was locked down, locked tight. Oh, wait, that wasn't us?
Disagreements, come to the front of the line. Yes.
South Dakota. Or San Diego, I'm sorry.
So I have a couple points that I want to talk about in illegal immigration.
No, I never understood, like, if
is it okay
you're
if I
up
write?
there and you have a point that you want to get to, you want to debate somebody, why are you on your phone? It's almost like somebody wrote it for them. I don't know. Chat GPT, maybe?
If I say all of them with no interruption? Okay, cool. So, first, illegal immigrants power our economy. They're 50% of U.S. farm workers, harvesting the food on our tables, and fill 70% of construction jobs in states like Texas. They pay $13 billion annually in taxes, including $2 billion to Social Security that they can't claim. Deporting them would slash agricultural output by $60 billion and raise food prices by 6%. Why gut our farms and wallets when these workers fuel our prosperity? That's my first point. Second point, they strengthen our communities with lower crime rates. So in Texas, undocumented immigrants have a 26% lower homicide conviction rates. So, which is 2.2 per 100,000 versus 3 for native-born citizens. Nationally, immigrants are incarcerated at half the rate of native-born, where it's 0.85% versus 1.71%. That's according to Bureau of Justice Statistics from 2019. So if safety is your goal, why deport people who make our streets safer? This is my third point. Mass deportation tears apart American families. Over 4.4 million U.S. citizens, children have an undocumented parent, and in Texas, 1 in 7 kids lives in a mixed status household.
It doesn't change
this is my
anything.
fourth point. Deportation is a fiscal nightmare. Removing 11 million people would cost 315 to 400 billion, more than the entire Homeland Security budget, and shrink our GDP by 1.7 trillion over 10 years. And this is my last point. Our immigration system is broken, pushing people to cross illegally. Visa waits Mexicans can exceed 20 years, and the asylum blockage is 1.3 million.
That 20 years, bullshit. You submit your application. It can take at most, I'm gonna tell you, at most 2 years. But that's because you got to transfer between that embassy, the United States, back and forth, all the paper that they needed. And it took roughly 2 years because we had to get a lawyer. But yeah, that 20 years is bullshit. Now you have to be a green card holder for 10 years before you can apply for U.S. citizenship. But at the same time, green card's only good for 10 years, so you have 10 years to get ready for that.
Cases, with hearings 4 to 6 years out. Okay.
You done?
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
All right, so without looking at the phone, look at me. What
Sure.
should the penalty be for breaking into America?
I think there should be a system where it's more merit-based. So if this person
No, penalty. So what is the penalty? So what should happen to you?
Felony. It's not a felony. It's a misdemeanor.
No, it is. That's not true. It's 8 U.S.C. 1312. You can look it up right now.
It's a felony if it's done twice. If you
No,
try to
it's
cross
not
the border,
correct.
that is correct.
That is not correct.
I googled it, dude.
To illegally go across the southern border with the well intent to come into harbor yourself into the interior of the United States is a violation of 8 U.S.C. 1312,
Okay.
which is a felony in the federal criminal code. Now, it can be enforced as a misdemeanor, or it can be upwards to 5 years in prison.
Okay.
Now, I want to know, since it's a felony, law on the
Sure.
books, 8 U.S.C. 1312,
Yeah.
what should the penalty be?
Well, in my opinion, these kinds of laws are usually they're what do you call it? They're sorry. Usually the like the sorry.
Oh.
Wait, sorry. Can I check my phone real quick?
No.
I apologize. Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
What should the penalty be
Okay.
for someone that breaks or comes
Why do you
into
need to check
America
your phone for
illegally?
that?
What should the penalty be?
I think there should be a merit system where the people. Okay, the
Not
penalty.
answer.
All right, let's.
That's
the penalty.
not the answer. It's a very simple moral and
Okay.
legal question.
Okay,
What
sure.
should the penalty be if you come into America illegally?
Okay, so since it's a misdemeanor, not a felony, misdemeanors
I
are.
just told you it's not 8. You can look up on
That's
your
not
chat
true.
GPT what is
Yeah,
8
yeah, yeah.
USC. Look up what is 8 USC 1312.
No, I know. I've already looked it up.
Yes,
when it's your second time crossing the border illegally, then it becomes a felony.
It can be, and it is enforced as a felony, and it usually is done as a misdemeanor citation because no one has the stones to do 20 million felony applications.
Okay.
So I just want to ask,
Yeah.
what should the penalty be then for someone that
Wait for
comes
it.
into this country illegally?
Wait for it.
Usually, there's 3 ways that go about this when there's a penalty. There's either like a fine, or there's some kind of like public service that this person does.
Wait for it.
Or you send them back. But
send them back.
There it is.
That's what we should do.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay. So this is interesting. So one of the statistics that I read said that illegal immigrants don't cause as much like they don't break the law as often as people who are native born.
Well, hold on, time out.
That is a statistic.
But
no time out.
But
dude.
every single one of them are criminals. They're all criminals.
Okay, sure. By law.
Well, hold
by
on.
law.
No,
okay,
no.
by law, of course. Of course they are.
Wait, so
I
if they
agree that
if they commit less crime and they're all criminals, wait a
Okay,
second.
so
By
you're basing
definition,
it- yeah.
they all have broken the law by being here, and they break
Okay.
the law every day by staying here because you're
Okay.
actually not allowed to stay here either. Do you know that?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
every
yeah.
day you're here, you're actually
yeah.
continually breaking the law.
Mm-hmm.
You can't break in or harbor. That's what the federal law says.
Okay.
So by breaking in, it's not just the only law they broke. Every second you remain here, you're also
Yeah.
breaking the law. So that statistic is invalidated by just them breathing here. They're breaking the law.
No, of course not. Of course not. So, of course, it makes sense for them when they're here. They're breaking the law because they're illegal immigrants, obviously. But once they're of course. So once they're here, once they are here, what kind of harm are they actually doing? When you look at the numbers statistically,
lot.
No, that's not true. Okay,
Black
so look,
wages have
in
gone
Texas,
down.
Okay, in Texas,
DUIs have gone up dramatically.
not
Why is he
to
bringing up
interrupt,
Texas?
Well,
Okay,
hold
so-
on. I'm
New York,
interjecting,
Chicago.
and I let you go uninterrupted with your whole soliloquy,
true,
right?
yeah, thank you.
So let me ask you a question now.
Okay.
So, if it is correct
Yeah.
that illegal aliens commit less crimes, which of course it's not correct.
That is correct. Look it up. In
but
Texas, they made a study in
is
2019.
Texas.
26% are lower.
He's only
crime,
picking
it's just not
Texas.
correct. But I'm
That
not going
is
to debate
correct.
that.
They were being moved out of.
I just proved it at its face because they commit a crime by being here every day. That is a crime.
Okay, once they are here, what kind of crimes are they committing? Which is
Okay, well,
They're here.
26%.
Do you know the
26%
name
less.
Laken Riley?
No, educate me.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Do you know? Wow. Do you know the name Rachel Morin?
No, I don't.
Wow.
Wait, educate
Okay.
me. What
So
kind of...
Laken Riley was a girl at the University of Georgia.
Okay.
There was a peeping Tommy, a legal alien, that was deported 5 times prior, and Biden kept on letting him back in. He hunted her down, raped her, and murdered her on a hiking trail, University of Georgia.
Okay, so
Rachel,
one person doesn't represent
hold
all
on a
illegal
second.
immigrants.
Every person who is killed by an illegal alien is one that should not happen. Every single one.
Of course, and also the ones that are
and
native born.
Everyone.
As
And
well
so
as
that's
the
the
ones who are
point.
native born.
Is that it's not a matter of
The
the
native
rates.
ones that are born
The
and they
rate,
get
even
arrested
if I
and put in
accept your
jail.
premise, which is incorrect, the rate is irrelevant. The number is what's relevant. There should be 0 illegal aliens. There should be 0 Americans being killed by illegals.
So, okay.
Not to mention there's 6 other problems with the illegal aliens. They steal Social Security numbers. They depress wages. They are heavily involved. By the way, not to mention, a lot of people that cross on the southern border are also smuggling girls, weapons, and drugs alongside the southern border when they come. It's the largest slavery operation in American history that many illegal aliens help make possible on the southern border. And I guess the final question I'll have is, should a government serve its citizens first and foremost?
Yeah, of course. Well, okay, there's been many people who are like very political leaders who have said that this place is built off of immigrants.
Oh, is it? Wait, hold on. Let's think about that.
No,
was
this country was
first of all,
found-
it's legal, not illegal.
Immigrants didn't
But
build
was
it.
America founded by immigrants or settlers?
Settlers didn't
That's
build
not
it.
an immigrant.
Yeah. Okay.
An
Well, that's not
immigrant
my
is-
point. My point is that
Just
people
brought
who-
up the. the nation built by immigrants.
Yeah,
we're
because
actually not.
Because the political leaders have said that this place is built.
Yeah, and they're
from
wrong.
They're wrong. Political leaders are wrong.
Yeah.
Is wrong. All these political leaders who have built America.
By the way, the first person to say that was.
How is that wrong? When illegal immigrants make. They grow the economy.
Okay,
statistically,
allow me to build it out for you.
Sure.
Immigrants have helped at times in American history, but we are first and foremost a nation founded by settlers. Immigrants come to a country already built. Settlers come to a barren place and build something new.
Right.
This land was barren when people came. In the 1840s gold rush, this was not an easy place to live.
Yeah.
California was not exactly industrialized. There was not immigrants coming new.
Right.
This land.
Come on, man. Just play the fucking video.
Immigrants come to a country already built. Settlers come to a barren place and build something new.
Right.
This land was barren when people came. In the 1840s gold rush, this was not an easy place to live.
Yeah.
California was not exactly industrialized. There was not immigrants coming west to California. Those were settlers building a new place around, Western values. Finally, I would just ask the question, do you see a moral distinction between a legal immigrant and an illegal immigrant?
Well, the argument is that they're cutting in line. Like, their argument is that they're cutting in line in the 20-year process that it would take for someone to cross illegally.
It's not 20, but yeah.
At most, it's 20. At most, it's 20.
No.
Right now, there's around, 1.2 million people who are currently waiting that would take 6 to 7 years for a hearing.
And by the way, no one has a right to come to this country,
Of
just
course,
to be clear.
Let me stay on track of what I was going to say. Okay, so people who come here, usually, almost all the time when they come here, they benefit society. They benefit society. There's studies that have done this.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but overall in general.
But no,
I
fundamentally disagree with that.
You can't disagree with a fact.
Hold on. Do you think Elon Omar has enriched the United States of America?
I don't know who.
Do you think Rashida Tlaib? I mean, I could go through person by person by person.
Sorry, I don't know these people. Are these people who have are illegal immigrants that have caused harm?
Yeah. If you don't know, I don't mean to pick on you. It's fine.
Okay.
But I guess the final question is, do you have any concern that there are too many people coming into this country and we're a nation of strangers, not a nation of neighbors?
If the people who are coming are creating America, making it more growing, like the economy is growing, then what harm is that doing? Especially if the people who are coming
are not... Because we're more than an economy, though, aren't we? We're a culture. We're a language.
Yeah,
we're
of course.
People.
Okay, so let's talk about that front. When they come here, they don't have any kind of... They're not committing as more crimes than the people who are already here.
Again,
that is a statistic
we've already
done.
dispelled that, but
that is not. You can't dispel a statistic.
Let's
what are you
take California.
talking about?
You can't. Do you think there's anything
just
wrong
going
with
off
the
the
majority
Texas
of young
study,
people
though.
in California speak Spanish, not English?
Wait, sorry, can you say that?
Do you think there's anything wrong or troubling to the fact that a majority of people under the age of 30 here in this state speak Spanish, not English? Is there a problem with that?
Well, yeah, everyone should be able to have a ability to communicate with the rest of the crowd. So I don't know what the big issue of that
See, I think it's a huge problem when we have a nation where you can't communicate with your fellow neighbor.
Simple solution. Teach them how to speak English. What is your point?
And our schools don't do that, actually. And also, have a better solution.
Yeah.
Don't import a bunch of people that don't speak English.
So according to Northeastern University, there is no definitive percentage of crimes in the U.S. committed by illegal aliens, as studies consistently show that immigrants, including undocumented individuals, do not commit crimes more than U.S.-born citizens. In fact, research indicates that higher immigration populations are often associated with lower crimes rates in communities. You know why? Because they're staying hidden. And if they're in places like California, and it's funny that Northeastern would do that. California, New York, Chicago, are they taking into consideration those? Are they taking into consideration drug dealings, gang fights, shit like that? No, they're probably only taking into consideration rapes and murders.
You mean importing people who actually grow the economy?
Well,
who
again,
don't
I reject your premise.
That's not a premise. That's a study that's been done.
Do you know what a premise is? I don't actually care as much about economic growth because we're one nation under. We're one nation under GDP. We're not one nation under GDP. We're a nation under God.
Yeah.
And when we lose social cohesion, and you import a bunch of people that don't share our values, that don't necessarily always assimilate, that's a major and serious problem. And we are a people first and foremost with a creed, and that creed is falling apart. Mass migration has not helped that creed. Yes, they might buy more trinkets. They might help depress wages. Mass migration, of course, can help.
All good things, all great things for America.
They help major corporations, but you know what they also do? They keep down the wages of working people. If you are a plumber, yes, of course. If you think about it, if you're a plumber, electrician, or a welder, and you have to compete against someone from Nicaragua who's willing to do it for $5 less an hour, that depresses the wages of the American citizen.
Right. Yeah. So there's been studies that have done that also like counteract that. Illegal immigrants.
Well, let's use our reason.
Let's use our reason. Our studies.
Let's use our reason.
How about statistics?
How about our reason?
So this one, I don't know, travelalot.com. So the 10 countries in the world that have a tougher border than in the U.S. Obviously North Korea. Of course Israel. Australia. I guess you can't be an illegal in Australia. Saudi Arabia. And they'll probably cut your hand off. China. Well, we know China doesn't like immigrants. Hungary. Yeah, we know that, considering when it came time to the Muslim immigrants. Russia has a pretty good border. India, which just attacked Pakistan. Japan, and Mexico, rounding out top 10.
So we've had mass migration for 20 years. Have wages gone up?
I don't know.
No, they haven't.
Know. How old are
So
you?
forget your studies. For 10 years we've had 30 million people come into America. Wages have gone down dramatically.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason why.
Okay.
So what I encourage you to do, just because there's a study that confirms, you should use your reason and look actually at self-evident truths. Be like, does that make sense? Can you name
statistics are self-evident
Well,
truths.
not always. Statistics
Not
are very
always?
misleading.
That's
Yes.
it.
Like, for example, I could say, did you know that 600 people a year die because of seatbelts? Well, that's a misleading statistic because over 100,000 lives are saved by seatbelts. That's an incomplete statistic.
Wait, okay, so
Statistics are made up.
so that's a gray area. So where's the gray area where people are talking about where 26% of illegal immigrants who come here commit less crimes than native born?
Okay, we have how many times have we been over this? That's just not correct.
Well,
It's
that
not
is
true.
correct. That is correct.
Every single crime. It doesn't matter about the
This is a study
rate.
that was done in Texas, the most diverse,
Again,
second most diverse state.
Every crime an illegal
He keeps
commits is
bringing
one
up
that should
Texas.
never have happened. It
Okay.
is a period.
Yeah, of course,
they
of
should
course.
not
Of course
be
they're
here.
gonna
So
go
I
off
don't care about the
Texas.
rate. The rate is irrelevant. So let me just ask one final
The rate
question.
is relevant.
Someone broke into the country and cut in line. What should happen to them?
Well, they're given. Ideally, there's a system. Ideally, there's a system that's merit-based where these people then become part of the citizen. Like they become a legal citizen.
Yeah, I mean, we have clarity but not agreement. I say deport them all back to their country of origin and put Americans first.
That's not an appropriate solution.
Well,
it actually
the
is.
American people voted for it, and it is appropriate.
It isn't appropriate because most of the people that do come here illegally contribute positively to society.
They
Again,
are
26% of them?
statistically.
I have
Everything
been
backs
for,
this.
You're not
Everything
listening to
backs
anything I'm saying, and that's fine. They take jobs from Americans. They depress wages. They steal Social Security numbers. They commit a crime every single day that they're here.
Well, he's right. Of course they're going to depress wages. A lot of people don't think about that. Why would they hire you or me if they can hire somebody that doesn't speak English that they can fucking pretty much use and abuse and pay half the amount that they would pay somebody like me or you? Okay. Is that helping Americans? No, it's not. It's helping everyone else but Americans because they get to pay less. But you still have to pay more for the product, which I don't know how that makes sense. Oh, this one is fun. This was on Piers Morgan yesterday. I watched the whole thing, but this part is probably the best. You're about to see some dude just fucking completely crash out. But what I will want to show you, I don't have it in this video because the other one's way too long. But this chick second from the right, like they told her, I think it was Pierce, was like, hey, if you can say whatever you want because she's a free speech absolutist, white supremacist, whatever. And he was like, well, say the N-word. And this dude just fucking lost his mind. Like, oh, don't say that. But that's not this video.
Yeah, got new show for y'all. Got a damn good show. All right, so Piers Morgan, they have a panel put together, and they're talking about the Shiloh Hendrix and the Carmelo Anthony phenomenon. Yeah, right. And this,
you know, I kept hearing about that Shiloh Hendrix shit. I had no idea what it was, and then I realized, oh, they're making $600,000 off of saying the N-word. What N-word? Not Negro.
Woke fool who says men can get pregnant loses his cool.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Just maybe.
But before we get to today's video, don't forget our contest is up in 24 hours, 48 hours. Today, Tomorrow's the last day. Oh, that's right. This video is going up today. Tomorrow's the last day. So anything you buy on our website, get you in the win. I got some damn good coffee. I got some good clean methylene blue. Got some good clean t-shirts. Yeah, get that methylene blue and fix that mitochondria. Y'all, some of y'all's mitochondria is all messed up, man. That methylene blue gonna get you straight. And right now, our contest is the Jeep Rubicon Candy Apple Red. But if you enter today, you get 10 times the interest. And not only that, you also get entered to win the Ram Diesel truck. Go to officialhawkswiz.com. Okay, let's get to the show. Let's get to the show.
Go back to the panel there. I mean, Ricky, it seemed to me a lot of inconsistencies in Mr. Wells's position, not least the donning of the
those translator devices, you see them more and more, and a lot of them, they just don't work. But you can't have somebody you're working for, or it's working for you, and you give them specific instructions, and they don't understand it, then what are you really paying them for, right? Oh, absolutely not. They never would.
Christian hat when it suits them, but then removing it when it doesn't.
You know, I think it's definitely tough to make the call here and there and where to censor. I err on the side of not censoring as much as possible, but I agree with you that the selectivity of having issues with abortion but not with these campaigns is certainly a problem. But I also want to go back to our point before, too, and make the point that I hate this argument that because some people were tribal, we should be tribal, too. And shouldn't we want to live in a society where we say tribalism is bad in general and negative in general, and so therefore we should be erring towards individualism and not fighting tribalism with more tribalism? I think that's a net negative.
I agree. Myron, your last words on this.
Okay. Because I never got to respond to Myron's other.
Your name's not Myron.
The thing with tribalism, it's a natural human instinct. Like, we are literally designed to want to be in communities and want to be a part of a set of community because it ensures our survival. It's been that way since the beginning of time. So the thing is that people are typically going to align with people that share similar features, and that's why we have the tribalism we have going on right now. So,
not me. If I was like in the same, demographic that I am, and the people around me are the same demographic as far as color, race, religion, I wouldn't fit in. Too aggressive.
So the problem is it's not going to go anywhere. I think the problem is that we've had this penting up for literally decades, and this has been a response to it. You have people that are coming out and supporting someone who you guys might deem as a terrible racist, but I think it's also very important to understand how we got here, because if we're going to look at the smaller problem, we can't look at the bigger problem, and it's what I said before, unchecked systemic.
All right, Mark Lamont Hill, your last words on this.
Systemic
Just repeated use of the word. I think, first of all, I want to just register.
He wants to say the N-word.
I mean, it is fresh and fit.
Dude, that dude says the N-word like breathing oxygen. Yeah, Myron don't care. He believes, this guy right here believes in freedom of speech. Right. He said, yeah, he does, yeah.
And he's a real African American.
Particularly someone who doesn't identify as a member of that community. And who
This is great. So you have this guy who's born in America trying to say that he's not an African American when this dude from Sudan.
Yeah. Understood that as offensive. Particularly someone who doesn't identify as a member of that community and who is not, right? I think that's incredibly
I'm the definition of African American.
Yeah, this dude's an idiot. He doesn't identify. You don't identify being black. Yeah, you either black or you're not. Yeah, you either African. You either are of African descent or you're not. It's something you can't identify as. I can't identify as a white man from Alabama. I can't because I'm a black man from Virginia. Do you know what opens the door for all this nonsense? Transgenderism.
Fucking
this guy said men can get pregnant. Yeah. Fool.
I'm the definition of African American.
Exactly. He is the definition of African American. Mm-hmm. But the people that's born here in America, they're African American when they African means you're from Africa. Yeah. This dude is from Sudan. Yeah. He's African. Yeah. He's the definition of African American. Yeah. Right? But if you're born here, you're not African. You're American. you just a Negro American. Yeah.
and troublesome, and to as a Sudanese American or an outsider who's using African American, the very technical term, the same way that Elon Musk is an African
He doesn't
American,
like
I think
immigrants?
is a bit disingenuous.
Stop. Elon Musk is an African American. African American is not a. It's not a race. It's a nationality. Yeah, it's he was born. It's like an ethnicity kind of thing. Yeah, yeah. He can. Elon Musk is an African American. He was born in Africa. Yeah, a country in Africa. He migrated to the United States. He's now a citizen of the United States. Yeah. So guess what? He's an African American. It does not only apply to black folks, but they're not African.
But they think so.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck just happened? Under the rule, the one drop rule, well, I'm like 5% Egyptian. That would make me black, right? I can do the one drop rule.
A bunch of African Americans.
I want reparations.
There's a bunch of black people in America calling themselves African American when they're not African American. And you're going to push back on a person who can actually has the right to call himself an African American, but it doesn't apply to him because he's white.
He's white.
Yeah. That's stupid. Yeah. Woke. This dude is DEI.
He doesn't look
the
very.
bigger issue here, I think, is that this idea of equating of one side to the other side often loses track of this issue of power. To use his example, when black people stand up and say, "Hey, let's build our own stuff. Hey, let's have a black power movement," that is not the same as a white power.
It's exactly the same thing.
Let me finish, please, my Sudanese brother. So when a black person says, "Hey, let's preserve our culture," I have no problem with Italians or Irish people or anyone else saying, "Let's preserve our culture." But when we don't talk about ethnicity, but actual race, and when white people say, "Let's preserve whiteness," it's an exclusionary practice. It's about preserving laws and practices and tactics that do harm to other people. A black power movement was.
Don't the niggers typically, when they hear other races that from Europe, they don't say they're Italian or Irish. They say they're white. Just like you probably do, but right now you're not.
It was about opening stores and building businesses. A white.
This country was founded by whites, and I get that. Are they trying to take away black people's rights in this country? Yeah. Why is white power good and black power? White power is bad and black power is good. Yeah, they're both wrong.
Both bad. Hello, Donna.
Takes it.
I mean.
Hey,
God
Gabe,
damn it, you got me.
He's trying to say white power is exclusionary, but black power is more...
You motherfucker.
What's the word they always use? Inclusive. That's crazy. I mean, it's no such thing as white power, black power. There's American power. There you go.
Sorry, that was a delayed laugh.
Power. I don't know if I don't drive with that. Yeah.
Power movement was a white power. That's the giga. A white power movement was about something very, 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 very different. A white power movement included lynchings and included Ku Klux Klan, etc. So let's not pretend these are opposite sides of the same coin. When white people say, "Let's save our country," and even using language of our country, when black people built this thing, when you say that.
Think about it. Let's say a
you
bunch
mean
of white people
ours in like America,
right? And then white people try to change things around in Africa, and all the black leaders and all the black people, like, let's save our country from this white people. They're correct in saying that, even though the white people's gonna make your country better.
That you're talking about forcing people out of the country. You're talking about laws that discriminate. You're talking about doing harm to people. Let's not pretend these are the same thing. Just like these GoFundMe campaigns are not the same thing. I'm okay if everybody gets out of the GoFundMe industrial complex. I'd love that. But let's not pretend that supporting someone for a fair trial is the same thing as supporting a grown white woman.
That dude's
using her freedom of speech.
They use money to floss and like.
See, people misunderstood. The whole concept of freedom of speech. It's to air your grievances against the U.S. government. It's not to say whatever the fuck you want to somebody on the street. I mean, you can call people whatever you want. It's free speech. And people, well, it's hate speech. Well, it's a good thing because hate speech is free speech. Right? Hello, Angela.
Rent houses.
Yeah, I know who you are.
Yeah.
Not you,
I'm
Angela.
saying that they're raising money for a fair trial. I don't care what attorney. I don't care how bad or good the attorney is. The facts is going to speak for himself. He stabbed someone at a track meet. He doesn't really need any money for a lawyer. Yeah, but just regardless of who he get, the facts is going to be laid out. It's a simple case. That was murder with that kid. Yeah, but the money they're raising is supposedly for an attorney. And
No,
that
that's not what the
100% going to
description
an
says.
attorney. Yeah. That dude has been charged with murder. You shouldn't be able to raise money if you're being charged with murder. You should be able to raise money for your defense, but not to like floss
I mean,
and buy
Kyle
these
Rittenhouse
items.
raised
Well,
money.
I'm in a position of if you murdered somebody, no, you don't get to create a campaign for people to donate to your. Just like that one white lady that said the N word to that kid. I don't think she. I mean, you have the right.
Yo, she got $500,000
You do have the right,
so
but
far.
it's immoral to raise money after you did something wrong. Yeah. That's all. Well, hey, Carmelo Anthony set the precedent. Why do you think we're here? If there's no Carmelo Anthony, this whole shallow incident, I don't think she does what she does. Yeah. I think that was the breaking point for white people in this country. This kid is raising money? Yeah. And he stabbed a kid at a murderer meet and claimed self-defense, and now his family's moving into this big house, and they're buying these cars, and they're doing all this
house.
stuff. Yeah. They said that's okay, but if a white woman makes
What's
a
up,
simple
Jennifer?
mistake, her life, comment. Yeah, her life it's okay to cancel her. Yeah. Why isn't it okay to cancel Carmelo Anthony? He stabbed a kid at a track meet. Yeah.
No, he's a hero, just like the guy that
berating and calling the N-word to a 5-year-old autistic black child. And the fact that everyone in here can't be unanimous in condemning that says exactly how they're not the same.
Just wait a minute. I'm condemning that. I'm also condemning Carmelo Anthony, what he did. Yeah. Yeah. You can't condemn Carmelo Anthony, but you want white people to condemn that white lady for calling that kid the N-word. Yeah. Nobody's dead.
I totally agree. I'm going to go to Lily Gaddis and just ask you one more time. I mean, you've been so unashamedly proud of being a racist today, proud of using the N-word whenever you feel like it. You've had a bit of time to think about this. Is that how you want people to leave this panel debate, with thinking of you as a disgusting racist?
Nigger.
I don't really care what people think about me. As long as you care about what people think about you, you have no power and you lose your country. What I care about is freedom of speech. And if you're not allowed to say the most offensive things in this country, you do not have
like you can't talk bad about Israel coming real soon. You're getting fined.
freedom of speech. I don't care what anybody says. So that's the main crux of this situation. That's what I care about with this situation. It is, we have lived for far too long in a country where you can have your life destroyed, and people say, oh, she doesn't need this money. Her life's destroyed, by the way. She'll never be able to get another job. She's got children to have to support. And I don't want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, black people can say things to white people all the time and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly, and you will
go on,
not
then
have
say it. Say
you
the
will
N-
not have
Go on,
free
say,
speech.
go on.
Watch him.
Say the N-word.
Watch.
Why is he tell him to say it? That's crazy. I mean, context matters. Maybe
Pierce is
situations
secretly
where
racist.
I will use the N-word. Yeah, you get upset. Yeah, but if some black guy do something stereotypically horrible, for no apparent reason, just to make that person make himself feel good, to rob somebody, I would use the N-word. Yeah, and most black people would use the N-word. Let's don't forget about it. Black people call other black people the N-word who behave like that. They make millions of dollars rapping about it. Yeah, the N-word.
Yeah. You got those. There's people that say there's two different types of black people. Even Adam Calhoun said it. There's blacks, and there's niggers. They say it and they're black. Oh, but they're half black. So they're Obamas.
Go on.
Conservative
No,
Obama.
no.
Other black people N-word who behave like that. They make millions of dollars rapping about it. Yeah, the N-word.
Go on.
No. I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So
Dude,
please don't
the
invite
black guy
her
sitting next to you.
to call me the N-word, because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here, and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and to ask her to say the
Oh,
N-word,
Uncle Tom, that's a racist
you would
term.
not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a
I
Jewish
wonder if
slur.
that says nigger.
Yeah, now that's like a toy gun. Yeah, gag. Yeah, it's like pull the trigger and the flag comes out and it's got the N-word on. Look at her. She's laughing. Yeah, that one white girl, she's like, man, I'm not even going to react to that. She's distraught. It's just a word. It's just a joke. He's joking too. It's just a word. But Pierce, you invited her to say the word. I don't even get what's the difference between inviting her to say it and then him making a joke about it. What context matters? He's making a joke, but you telling her to just say it. To just say it. Because it's freedom of speech. I mean, he's starting to make a great point right here. That's what he's saying.
In front of this jury, it's ridiculous. I understand.
Say you wouldn't do that for God's chosen people.
You don't have any bad intent, Pierce.
I
understand
will.
what you're trying to do. But we already know she's a racist. And I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there.
I can't believe he thinks the word nigger is harmful.
Because she went viral about...
Because, growing up in high school, I was called a chink, a beaner, a gook. And you know what? I fought for it. Because I was young and stupid. And then now, the older and older I got, I was like, okay, cool. What do you want me to do about it? Huh? I'll throw it right back at you.
I remember that video when she went viral. Yeah. In the context, no black person should be offended by how she used that term. Yeah. But when you got blue eyes, blonde hair, and you're a pretty girl, oh, that drives black people crazy. Especially when you say the N-word. Oh my! And she didn't even put the hard ER on. I didn't remember how she used it, but I remember the context. She's talking about a friend she date a lot of broke ass.
That's right. She did say that.
In that context, I wasn't offended at all. No one should be offended. Look, she's like frozen.
A deer in the headlight.
She's about to turn into a pillar of salt. This woman will vote for Kamala Harris.
She probably did vote for Kamala Harris. I don't know if I really want to care about Israel right now.
So we have to...
Kiss my ass. All right, this story... Talking about Carmelo Anthony getting $500,000. Shiloh, whatever the fuck that name is, getting $500,000. Why does... No, we're going to get to the story. Tell me why the amount raised was only $14,000.
Prices have been high for the last few years, and they're still high. And sadly, most folks are having to lean on credit cards just to cover their bills. That's why credit card debt is at an all-time high, trapping millions of Americans in a cycle that pay off that doesn't work out for how much you can select. 8-0. I feel like I'm an oracle. Why do you say that, Brandon? I feel like I'm always right. And why are you always right, Brandon? It's because I don't say things that I don't know about. If I'm not familiar with the topic of the subject of the conversation, I ain't talking about it. Let's go to Jacksonville, where thugs decided that they were going to shoot a op, is what they call it, their enemy, and they end up taking the life of a 7-year-old boy.
A feud between two local gangs linked to a 7-year-old's tragic death in Jacksonville. That's according to new information from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Breon Allen Jr. was shot and killed in the Commonwealth neighborhood on Jacksonville's west side back in January.
And now police say the crime is related to last year's murder of Charles Jones, a Jacksonville rapper known as Julio Fulio. Jones was ambushed during his birthday celebration in Tampa last June. This is the shocking surveillance video from that night when Jones fled as a group chased him with guns in the parking lot of a Holiday Inn. Police say Jones is driving the black sedan while that group runs him down and fires multiple shots at the car. Both Allen's and Jones' deaths gained lots of attention statewide, with a reward of up to $25,000 once offered in the 7-year-old's case. And these are the 4 men in custody in Allen's case.
Looks like they're a bunch of doctors.
Second-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted first-degree murder charges. News4Jax reporter Alicia Hatcher digging through the documents to find how JSO made these arrests.
These are the 4 arrest warrants of the man connected to the death of Breon Allen Jr. and injuring his cousin Lafayette Mango Jr. These documents give great detail into how the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office connected these 4 men to this case to make an arrest.
In the warrants, investigators explain the 4 men are members or associates of the group 6 Block, and the shooting that took Allen's life was motivated to the purpose to benefit, promote, and or further the interests of the criminal gang. Allen's cousin Mango is a documented gang associate of the group ATK, according to police. Investigators say an ongoing feud between the 2 gangs led to the death of Charles Jones, also known as Julio Fulio, last year. Following Jones's death, Mango released a song called 6 Ways to Die, featuring another rapper who police say is also a gang member of ATK. In the song, Mango disses several 6 Block members who have died and references a photo that members of a 6 Block took at a gravesite.
This brings us to the day Allen lost his life. After the shooting took place, a witness called 911 and told them that they saw the suspects flee the scene in a black car.
From there, investigators began canvassing the area, recovering video from nearby businesses. Hours later, they found the suspect's car, which was a black Kia where a BMW met them after the shooting.
Stolen?
Investigators searched the black Kia where they found a match to the spent rifle casings found at the scene. The following day, detectives requested cell phone data from the location of the murder and where the black Kia was found. Records reveal the data showed the 4 suspects were at both locations. Detectives also learned that the BMW involved belonged to one of the suspects' family members.
Thought it was a Kia.
Cell phone data and video surveillance connected the 4 men accused of Allen's death at the scene of the shooting. JSO says more arrests could be expected in this case. For now reporting, Alicia Hatcher, Channel 4, the local station.
He was 7. He didn't deserve it. He was a kid. And these thugs mowed him down. But let me add this. Do you know why you haven't heard of this story? Many of you haven't heard of this story. Do you know why there's no T-shirts? Do you know why you don't see Benjamin Crump? You don't see the NAACP? You don't see your favorite actors and comedians and celebrities talking about it? Because these 7 thugs gunned down a 7-year-old black kid. Put the clip on. Put the clip of the young man. If this doesn't infuriate you, I don't know what will. D.L. Hughley, Ari Spears, all of you cowards that come out every single day of the week and cried. You cried yourself to sleep because a white woman said the N-word to a kid. But these young boys murdered this kid. When I saw his picture, I said, I can't look at it. I can't look at it because I'm incredibly sad and disappointed that this young boy, as cute as he is, had a future, had a promise, had a dream. People loved him. And his life was cut short because thugs. And the part that bothered me more, or like second to him actually losing his life, is the fact that why aren't people supporting him? Why does his GoFundMe look like completely, like it's completely irrelevant compared to others? This little baby who obviously had a future, who wasn't involved in gang activity, who wasn't running from the police, wasn't pulling guns on nobody, looked like he was a little football player, probably had dreams and aspirations to be great one day. His life was cut short. And how much money have they raised for him? $14,000. $14,000? Carmelo Anthony decided to stab a white kid in the heart. He raised $500,000. Now, I'm not doing this because I need y'all to pat me on the back and say no, but I want to support this kid's family. I told my people we need to reach out to mama or whoever is putting on this GoFundMe so we can figure out what else do they need, because it breaks my heart to see a baby, a 7-year-old boy, lose his life over complete foolery.
Damn, the goal.
So we, as Officer Tatum, we're going to donate and help. I think I'm committed. I'll give $1,000 to help. And while maybe after the show I'll do it, you'll see it pop up. So don't think I'm out here making up something. But I want you guys that are watching this, as you listen to the story and you see the developments as to what happened, I want you to make up in your heart, do you want to support? And I'm asking you, you're going to give $5, you give $20, you give something. The woman who called a kid an N-word got $500,000 in her GoFundMe. A black kid stabbed a white kid in the heart, he got $500,000 in his GoFundMe. There's got to be thousands of people watching this. You ain't got to give $1,000 like we will, but I want you to give something. And then when you give, just say that Officer Tatum sent you. Why would I want you to say that? It's not for me. It's because I want this family to know that there's people outside of the community that care about them.
You too,
and
man.
what was
I love
best
you,
for the
Rockstar.
family that they lost this kid. All right. Now you don't have to
in a
give.
strictly
I'm not. I didn't even know I was going to say this, but you don't have to give if you don't want to. It's just if it's on your heart like it's on mine, you can give something, even if it's like $5. All right. Let's continue to talk about this. Play the clip of the police chief who articulated very clearly what happened in this scenario.
He ended up confessing and telling who else was involved in the murder of 7-year-old Breon. That is a huge, huge relief.
Has that been a long, ongoing case, or?
It's been three weeks, a month.
Someone killed a 7-year-old?
7-year-old, yeah.
Why? Because
they're cruel animals who don't care about the life of a 7-year-old.
Oh, you can't.
Who was walking with a.
I want you to put this in perspective. Chief is 100% right. Now, I want you to put this in perspective. If 7 white kids shot a black kid, he'll have $10 million in his GoFundMe. If this chief was white and said that about the 7 thugs that killed this young man, people be mad at him.
It's like Trump.
I'm just stating the obvious. If this was a white man saying they're animals, people be mad at him even though they killed a 7-year-old. So I'm glad that there's men like this who are chiefs who are willing to stand up and tell the truth in the face of potential backlash. It is what it is. These are animals. These 7 thugs had no business shooting at somebody that had a kid, with a little kid, because they were shooting at somebody else while he was walking with the kid and ended up killing the kid.
But why were they shooting?
Another kid who was not a kid, but a young man who was the actual target. So instead of them holding up and waiting to get him alone, or not doing it at all, they decided to open fire, killing a 7-year-old child.
So what's going to happen? That's life sentence?
It could be. That's a good chance that could be
death.
A first-degree murder. If that's a first-degree murder, they stand the opportunity.
Oh, Tatum.
So let's go to some of the detailed situations that we need to establish when talking about this incident. The gang connection. The young man who was targeted I think he was 21 years old. He was 21 years old, and he's a part of a gang. Although I do feel sorry for young people that get themselves caught up in gangs and end up getting killed, I don't feel sorry that he was getting shot at, because he shouldn't be participating in no gang anyway, and he probably would have did it to them, or he did something to them. That's why they coming for him. He is the reason why that young kid lost his life, 100%. It was a rival gang, and this is when the problems ensued. Suspects and charges. 6 suspects ranging between the age of 17 and 24. 17 and 24. The people who are activists in the black community would never say this to you because they don't give a F about black people. This is a big problem in the inner cities of our country. Most of these young men who are dying are between 16 and 35. Most of the young men who are doing life in prison for killing other black people are between 16 and 35. Our young generation of Americans of African descent are literally dying every day, either by gunfire or by jail time. These young men, 17 to 24, life's over. So not only does a 7-year-old lose his life in the black community, the kid that's with him is probably going to go to jail, and the 6 suspects are all going to do life in prison.
Why would the kid with him go to jail?
If you do the math, that's 8 lives gone in one incident that probably took, 20 seconds. 20 seconds, 8 people gone forever. But your favorite celebrity will never talk about this. They won't give money. Let's see. I put this out here when we promote it on our social media, on other platforms. I may just do a direct ask. Let's see what celebrity name pop up to give money on this. Let's see. I want you to see what celebrity. I want you to see what activist that's out here crying every time a white person do something, that's out here supporting Carmelo Anthony. Which activist is going to give something? They ain't got to give $1 million. Give something to this family.
No
They're going to be
representative
charged with second-degree murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy. The shooters who were identified are 2 shooters, both are 17, but I believe that they snitched and told who else was involved, thank God. Rifle casings matched the suspect vehicle, which placed the suspect at the crime scene. So this little kid not only got shot, but he was hit with a high-velocity weapon, high-velocity round,
destroyed his ass.
an AR-15 round, not a 9mm, not a 40, but an AR-15 eviscerates people. And that little kid got hit with an AR-15 round. The chief says, Chief Waters, that it was a planned attack, it was targeted, and it was a completely unnecessary, as you heard him say on the clip. Breon's mother urged the public to keep his memories alive and thank the police for swift arrests and the response. There's no T-shirts for Breon. There's no GoFundMe, but a $14,000 GoFundMe, which you can't do nothing with $14,000, and his future was worth more than $14,000. I don't know what to do about it. I want to help. I want to, I don't know this lady, you know what I'm saying? But losing.
Just think about it. $500,000 to a guy that stabbed somebody and a kid in the chest at school. $500,000 for saying the word nigger. I don't know how many times she said it, but if that's the case, I should have millions of dollars. Shit, I just earned $500,000 right there. But the ones that need the money, not George Floyd, he didn't need the fucking money. Everybody paid for his fucking funeral. Fentanyl laced coffin. And it's sad. There's stories like this that happen every fucking day that go unreported. And those charities that should be getting some money, like I'm saying, I don't donate to crowdfunding, period. I just have a feeling like if they're in the community and the churches in that area are really all about the people in their towns, why don't they step up? Why don't they step up if they're all one child under God? I'm just saying. There's plenty of other racist words that people just let go because they're not black. All right, we're going to go from, oh my God. I'm just going to play this Jesse Lee Peterson phone call.
Let me go to Ron out of Texas. Ron, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Uncle Jesse.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, man, you caught me in the school zone, but I'm going to keep going.
Caught you what?
Better be on speaker.
In the school zone. You answered my call really quick.
Oh, go ahead.
I normally have to wait a couple hours. But here's what I got for you today.
You want me to put you on hold? Ron, you want me to put you on hold so you can wait?
No, sir, you're good.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Hey, Uncle Jesse. Now, on the Carmelo Anthony case, why wouldn't you believe that it's self-defense on the behalf of Carmelo Anthony?
Because it wasn't.
Well, I neither believe it or doubt, but it's just weird that he took a knife. According to the report, he took a knife to a trap meet.
Right.
Normal people don't do that unless they have an agenda.
Exactly.
Unless they're a hillbilly.
Exactly.
I carried a knife.
It's not self-defense, and I believe he should go to prison for a pretty good while. It's not self-defense. Now, the question I have for you, what did Trayvon Martin do?
But that wasn't for stabbing.
To deserve for that Zimmerman guy to kill him?
Who?
What did Trayvon Martin do to deserve death?
I don't know who that is.
Trayvon Martin?
Right.
The kid who was killed by George Zimmerman.
When was that?
Oh, my. About 5 years ago, I believe, Jesse. You had shows about it.
Trayvon Martin.
And why are you bringing that up in 2025?
Because I want your opinion.
I don't remember that, man. That's been 13 years ago.
Okay, let Hank answer.
But no, I don't remember that. No. That was 13 years
ago. You know why you don't want to answer, Jesse?
Why are you bringing up something?
Skittles, there was some watermelon Arizona, and then maybe some Sudafed. Who knows?
From 13 years ago, when no one can remember all the details, why are you bringing it up now?
Oh. No one can remember the details, like George Zimmerman was on the ground getting his face punched in.
not true because Trayvon Martin.
No, tell me why are you?
I'm telling you.
Why are you bringing that up now?
I'm bringing it up now because I remember the case. And these two cases are similar. Trayvon Martin did not do anything to deserve to die. It was a fist fight between a grown man and a little boy.
Right.
Now, you know what I'm talking about, Jesse. Now, I threw a curveball at you for a reason.
Stop
and you
screaming.
can't give it what I'm saying. Okay,
Okay.
go ahead, Jesse.
Stop
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Never had your head hit the concrete? Congratulations. That shit hurts.
Go ahead. Jesse, you're playing crazy now. I know what you're doing.
Right.
Go ahead, my brother. Go ahead.
Why are you bringing something up that happened 13 years years ago, and why do you even remember it?
Okay, this is what I'm answering your question. In law cases, you can go back many, many years to find a similar case to be able to judge the new case. Okay?
You can't do that.
Trayvon took a knife to a trap meet?
Yes.
No, sir. Trayvon Martin, a little kid.
But why are you a lawyer?
Please let me answer.
He wasn't no little kid, but are you a lawyer?
Sir, please let me answer.
Are you a lawyer?
17-year-old boy.
Are you a lawyer?
Yeah. Yes, I am today.
Are you a lawyer, Ron?
I am today.
Ron, are you a lawyer?
Sir, please.
Thank you, Ron. I gotta take a break. Right back.
I love it when he does that. Man, fuck you. You're done. Get off my show. Yeah, if you've never seen Jesse Lee Peterson, I highly recommend it. He's an old Southern black man. So he doesn't take shit too seriously. And he definitely trolls the people that do.
Also happening from the Capitol, a controversial
In Colorado, they have a bill. I looked it up this morning. Let me see if they put it here. It's not called the Kelly Loving Act. Well, it's called the Kelly Loving Act, but there's a fucking long-ass name for it. Oh, actually, it's like letters. But I guess it's been an argument in Colorado's Senate for a while, or House, whatever the fuck it is, as far as transgender rights for children. And I think it's been going on for a while. They finally narrowed it down to where it would pass the House and is heading to the governor's desk. We'll get to this. And it's because these children, these transgenders, they need special rights in schools. Imagine if I was in school, back then when I was in school, and they were like, well, what do you want it called? What if I said, I want to be called God? Will they do it? In the South, probably not. I don't think they would have at all. Now that I think about it, let me go find that time machine and tell my past self to do that. Elon, hurry up.
Gender rights bill is now heading to the Senate floor for a vote.
Yeah, just last night, hours of testimony heard from supporters and opponents of this bill. Fox 31's Lisa D'Souza live breaking down why the bill saw protests from Colorado parents. Lisa.
Good morning. So we're talking about 8 hours of testimony in all, and this eventually passed out of committee early this morning. So no doubt a long day and night for a lot of people closely connected with this. But really the controversy surrounded parental rights. A lot of the bill at this point has been heavily amended, and a lot of the controversy has actually been taken out of this. But take a look at really how big of a outpouring of people we saw here at the Capitol yesterday.
My child, my choice.
Yeah, you see there are dozens of Colorado parents protesting.
I'm 5% Egyptian. I can say I'm a nigger.
On the Capitol steps Wednesday. So a lot of people took issue with the original version of the bill, which stated that dead naming or misgendering a child could actually be considered abuse or coercive control. and could potentially be used against a parent and child custody cases. Bill's sponsors say that portion of the proposal is now gone. So now sponsors say much of the proposal really solidifies transgender rights in the state's Anti-Discrimination Act and actually ensures schools implement a law that's already in place that a child's chosen name should be used in class.
We want to be able to pass the strongest bill possible, and there was enough concerns
Bro, he
and
looks like the
confusion
villain out of the last
around that
hero movie. The fucking dude with the Ripper.
piece that we're going to continue working on that over the summer.
There's many layers of this bill that are very problematic, but the attack on parental rights, coercive control, defining parental decision-making and responsibility as coercive control or as abuse is inappropriate.
And again, Bill's sponsors say that coercive control piece has now been removed because it has been heavily amended. But from here, the bill goes to the full Senate. We know the governor had expressed some legal concerns with the bill in its original form while still supporting transgender rights. Meantime, obviously, we're going to continue to track how this bill progresses. But for those not familiar, Kelly Loving is who the bill is named after. It's called the Kelly Loving Act, and it was named after
Somebody with mental illness. All right, so this happened as I was going to go live. It's about a 9-minute speech. It involves the Department of Justice and the FBI. Let's hope they get their shit together, because I'm still waiting for James O'Keefe to go live today. But this is Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, and it's funny that of all days like today, they made this speech, or this press conference.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. We have a busy day here at the Department of Justice, as I'm sure a lot of you have seen already. Today, we are proud to announce the results of the FBI's Operation Restore Justice initiative. This historic, unprecedented, nationwide operation led to the arrest of 205 child sex predators. Unbelievable. In just 5 days. This was an incredible operation done in conjunction with the FBI and our prosecutors. Children and their families now have a chance to heal. These are online predators. Think about this. 115 victims, children. In 5 days, we were able to help. This kind of work takes a toll on the FBI agents and the prosecutors who are doing this every single day. They are working tirelessly online, dealing with the dregs of our society, the worst of the worst, the people that hide behind a computer and target our young children every single day. Our law enforcement, our prosecutors, sit there and deal with this every day to get these monsters off the street. Director Patel and I, almost daily in our meetings, talk about these cases and what it does to our officers and our prosecutors, but also how many lives are being saved.
That's quality police work right there.
And how many children are being helped by this. Director Patel is going to get into the specific cases with you in a minute, but what I will tell you is these depraved human beings.
I think that was here. Because we had a similar situation like this like 3 days ago, because it was in my daughter's neighborhood. And they didn't get to go home till like late.
If convicted, will face the maximum penalty in prison, some life. We will find you, we will arrest you, and we will charge you. If you are online targeting a child, you will not escape us. The FBI and the Department of Justice will come after you, and we will prosecute you. Parents, you have to know, this is so serious. Your child has no right to privacy on the internet. None. You have to monitor what your kids are doing, whether they're playing games on the internet, on social media, any other websites that children, teenagers frequent, an online predator can find them. I always say it's from instant message to instant nightmare. Parents, they're talking to your kids like they're other children, and they're not. They're predators. They pose as children. They get them sometimes to post explicit pictures of themselves after they talk to them. And then in some cases, they even try to blackmail the children. The suicide rate among teens ages 14 to 17 has increased as a result of this as well, because teens are taken advantage of and they're manipulated online by child predators. So all of you being here today and covering this is so important, because parents need to know. You've got to talk to your kids. They think they're talking to other children, but most of the time they're not. Director Patel, thank you.
First and foremost, to the Department of Justice.
Oh, it is.
General
It's
Bondi's
totally
leadership
related to Epstein. Totally, because his little if you go onto OMG's X page, there's like a little a minute commercial.
Components. Because of your courage, we are here today protecting our most vulnerable, our children. Thank you, General Bondi. Thank you to so many of your colleagues here today that do this work tirelessly day in and day out and never get a moment's thanks. We should acknowledge all of them today. As the FBI director, I'm humbled to leave some of the bravest men and women in law enforcement, and I want to thank our 55 field offices, our 90-plus United States Attorney's offices, our CIOS section, our CRIM division here at the Department of Justice, and our field offices throughout the country with lawyers and prosecutors and agents working tirelessly on some of the harshest criminality we've ever seen. They don't take breaks because our children deserve a free and open society. I also want to
So the federal doesn't take break. What about local law enforcement? They seem to be dropping the ball a lot. Local prosecutors, they're definitely dropping the ball a lot.
take a moment to emphasize the priority of this Department of Justice and this FBI.
That's one of the clips.
Our children. If you harm our children, you will be given no sanctuary. There is no place we will not come to hunt you down. There is no place we will not look for you. And there is no cage we will not put you in should you do harm to our children. The prioritization of this administration and General Bondi has made it abundantly clear to child predators, you will be hunted down and you will be prosecuted. And that is a refreshing thing to hear for the men and women who do this work tirelessly. And it's also an acknowledgement of the safety that we look forward to bringing America. As the Attorney General mentioned, there are a couple of cases worth highlighting. People in places of public trust have violated not only the law, but that public trust. To include teachers, law enforcement personnel,
we know,
and other professionals that we look to safeguard our children have not only violated the law, but violated the trust. In Minneapolis, defendant Jeremy Francis Plonsky, a Minneapolis state trooper and former Army reservist, was arrested for producing child sexual abuse material while in uniform.
The one in Alaska?
In Norfolk, Virginia, defendant Jose Alexis Valdez Sosa, an illegal immigrant from Mexico, again, allegedly arrested for transporting a minor across state lines. No more.
Holy shit.
Another example, right here in Washington, D.C., in the Metropolitan Police Department, Officer Linwood Barnhill, a former already convicted sex offender, was arrested again for exploiting more victims, more children, while on supervised release. These are just three examples that show you the extent and the depravity of these horrific crimes. And
my wrestling coach in high school, I think a year or two after I graduated, they caught him with a middle schooler in the University Hotel down the street. Crazy. Small world. And none of that really clicked in my mind until I heard about that. Because it never crossed my mind. Back in the 80s and 90s, you never would have thought about that. But once I became an adult and it showed, Now I just realized it's an even bigger problem than it was. And as much as everybody hates Q drops, the Q is how I started paying attention to all this stuff, like all the way down to the core, because the Q exposed a lot of things that people just looked past, especially when it came to child predators. That was probably the best, bad as that sound, the best thing that I picked out of all the Q drops to pay attention to.
We need to team up together with the American public to find the rest. I want to give a special thanks to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for the tireless work they do in partnering with us. And again, I want to thank the Department of Justice and all these folks here. And Pam, thank you for never
I wonder how
wavering
many people remember
to
this
defend our
and what it
children.
means.
Thank you, Director Patel. And this ranges from, we have cases from California to New York to Florida, our entire country. And just in 1 week, again, 115
Hawaii?
Victims we have. 205 offenders have been charged in 1 week, thanks to the FBI. So think what's happening throughout this country. Children are being taken advantage of, and we have to stop it. Thank you for covering this very important topic today. Thank you.
And it is funny because this actually happened today, and about an hour and a half ago. Let me double check that. 2 hours ago. I'm sorry, but I was gonna play it like in its entirety as I was setting up my show, and then I went to double check it, and I was like, "Holy shit! This is only 9 minutes." And they got their point across. But it is kind of interesting, like I said, that it came out the same day that James O'Keefe's supposed to drop his story. It's interesting it happened that way. But since we're talking about James O'Keefe, let's take a quick second, and we're going to watch this 8-second clip.
They can't suicide us all.
Now, why would he specifically say that suicide word? Because when you think about it, what is the only punishment we've seen to silence people like Jeffrey Epstein, Guthrie? I can't remember her fucking first name. Bro, did you know Mike Myers and Michael B. Jordan are being called to testify in the Diddy case? I found that out yesterday. And even Beyonce might be there. Going back to Austin Powers' Goldmember movie. Because there was a scene in where they might have known. They might have known. All hearsay. I don't know, Carmen. If I do drop it, if he does drop it today, I will probably have to do it on Rumble because I don't know about YouTube. Because they suck sometimes. But if I do, I'll go double live. Hopefully, we'll see. Or I could always do it tomorrow. But I'm the kind of person, if it comes out, yeah, Michael B. Jordan. What up, Fin Fam? Late as usual. But if that drops today, yes, I will probably come back live. We'll see how YouTube does it, because I'm a little iffy doing those stories same day, like I did with Pfizer. And Pfizer was in the in that title. All right, Fin Fam. Yeah, Mike Myers, definitely, that was brought up last night and this morning from day one of the case. So we'll see. Now we know this potential bombshell that could take down Washington today. What will happen? Will anybody be punished? How high does it go? And I almost want to say what country is involved in most of this, but I won't say that because it's hearsay. But this bombshell is supposed to happen today. Yeah, you know I'm going to play it. Which platform? I don't know yet. We'll see. But, oh shit, we're not done yet. Are we? Yeah, we are. I'll do that story at a different time. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all, what's this? Give me 2 seconds. Which one's this? Ah. I'll check it out later, Zip. It doesn't... I have like different Instagram and Meta account. You leaving? Oh. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and, well, children of all ages, I finally realized where I got that yesterday. It totally... I didn't know where it came from. But now I know. You know why? Because I got 2 words for you. Huh? Huh? I'm not telling y'all how to think. I'm just telling you to think. How many people will there be? I don't know who's going to be on that list. I have good ideas. And like I said, some of them are world leaders. Potentially, certain world leader. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, I hope Batmom showed up late as usual. Good to see you, though. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of 18 and above, I'm not telling y'all how to think. I'm just telling you to think. And just remember, the truth. The truth is the nickname for Paul Pierce.